I'm pleasantly surprised, though, being honest. I do feel like it's a little played out, but regardless, we are going to be seeing it at least once here tonight as the map that we're going to be spawning in on to kick off our best of 3 semifinals is going to be Oceanborn. And we're here in the top left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the top left. We, of course, have our red Terran player coming out from the land of China. He is going to be representing Weibo Gaming. We have Oliveira.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, representing Gen G Esports. It is Trap.
Historically, Trap has been a very, very strong PvT player, and at least for a couple of months or even years, Oliveira has been a little bit weak in the TvP matchup, but ever since DreamHack Dallas, man, it really does feel like he's tightened up his play and he has fixed these specific issues that he had in TvP. I think he talked about it a little bit, but basically, from what he was able to gather from advice from other Terran players, the issue that he had was mostly on mindset, where he was overthinking, so to speak. I remember this specifically. He was apparently overthinking in the TvP matchup, but then Maru said to him, "Yo, you don't need your brain in this matchup. In fact, your brain is actually gonna hinder you in this matchup. You stop worrying about how you're gonna counter your opponent's play and just go for the kill."
Yeah, it's what that boils down to is basically the idea of as a Terran player more dictating the pace of the game instead of just constantly reacting and scouting and responding to your opponent and kind of taking control of the game instead. So and that's been quite successful here for Oliveira, at least since then, and we'll see how he compares to Trap, as Trap is looking to spice things up a little bit here as he does end up hiding that probe, will avoid that Reaper.
Yeah, we'll see if this is just going to be one of those lame probe scouts where it's like, okay, I'll hide the probe a little while to avoid the Reaper, but then I'm going to go in. Or if this is going to be a Chad probe that throws out a proxy. Never mind, it's going to be a dead probe.
Yeah, because they're always looking for those proxies, Papi. Unless the probe gets shut down, it's going to be a Twilight Council opener out of Trap, so nothing too crazy, looking like a Blink-based build as we're easing away into our TVZ. Again, it was also a pretty standard setup here by Oliveira, going for a Rack Expand economic opener from our Terran player.
Yeah. No starport yet. There's a starport now before the third CC, so very safe start here coming out from Oliveira, but yeah, that's just TvP for you. You don't want to be going. You don't want to immediately be going on the offensive in TvP. In fact, that's a guaranteed way for you to die in the matchup. So yeah, just focus, be a little bit more defensive, be a little bit more macro in the early game, and focus more on the mid-game timing.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of double gas openers here in TvP, but Oliveira does avoid it. He goes for a much more economic start into a 1-1-1, into his follow-up 3 racks, I imagine, and yeah, we're just going to be easing away into the mid-game. Likewise, our eyes are on Trap to see how many gateways he throws down. It's going to be 2 gate blink for the time being, and we'll see if he throws down an extra gateway or if he just goes for the third.
And okay. I was going to say it's going to be a third, but we're hesitating a little while. Waiting for those 400 minerals. Yeah, it's going to be the third. Okay.
Yeah, we are going to be expanding here. So, once again, a very macro build here from a Trap, and we're just avoiding the early game aggression, and both players are making strides and headed towards the mid game.
Which really is where both of them start to thrive. I know that Oliveira in TvP, when it comes to the mid game, he just loves to go for a timing and never stop. Not necessarily parade pushing, but going for multi-pronged drops, just continuing to harass and make sure his Protoss opponent can never get a 4th base. Trap, likewise, is similar in those regards, where he does like to have a very potent mid-game army with storms, with, I imagine, disruptors and or Colossus as well, in PvT specifically, but it's going to take him a while before he gets to that point, so we'll see how we get there.
Yeah, we're just building up and getting to that point. Oliveira did open up with a Widowmine drop. We do have 2 Widowmines here on the right hand side. Honestly, this opener is very out of fashion. It's like maybe once a tournament or like once a week even where we're able to see this. So
or not, yeah. I was gonna say maybe once a series, but no, I think what you're pointing towards is more accurate. Once in a tournament.
So I appreciate that Oliveira is mixing it up. Does find the Observer, does shut it down, and has yet to pull the trigger with the Widowmine. Ideally, you want to wait for a distraction, wait for Trap to move out or another push, and then slip in and try to catch a Protoss player off guard. So we're just going to be keeping this in the back line, and we'll see if we find an opportune moment for that mine drop.
And I'm just waiting for it now. And this is a pretty smart way to go for a mine drop, I'm not gonna lie. It sets off a lot of sirens in my head because I'm usually thinking, but when you go for mine drop, you gotta scout. You're supposed to be scouting, figuring out what's going on. But yeah, if your priority is on damage, it is more worthwhile to just hang back and wait for a moment where your Protoss opponent isn't necessarily expecting a drop, or when they're a little bit more distracted by a double drop coming into the main base.
Yeah, here we go. Double drop towards the main. We have the main army pushing through the center as well. So a bit of a tri-pronged attack here by Oliveira. Meanwhile, earlier with the Reaper Scout, he did see the third. So upon seeing the third base, he knows it's just a macro build. So he didn't need to dive into the main base necessarily. And we'll see if we can get some damage done here as the 3 prongs are moving out for Oliveira. Trap does have an army in position, does have shield batteries.
Yeah, and of course he's going to be able to hold this position, but the priority here for Oliveira is to try to distract the army. Nice depowering of the gateways. Unfortunately for Oliveira, Storm did complete before that pylon went down, so...
Yeah, Storm did finish.
Impactful.
I mean, we do get some decent damage done here. We send in the Storm's overcharge is spot with the help of the overcharge. Can we actually hold on? The Stalker does go down. We break through.
The Widowmine actually taking out the Stalker and then the Archon, so... Yeah, pretty good here from Oliveira, but he is starting to bleed out a lot of his units. Trap coming down to the low ground.
Yeah, it's going to be 4 probes going down. Nice juggling out of Oliveira. He does pull away, but we have reinforcements in production. And Trap, he's not ready for a follow-up push. Shield batteries are depowered, but it looks like Oliveira doesn't really have much to keep going.
Yeah, he's eclipsing Trap when it comes to the army supply, but a lot of that supply is in these 4 medevacs.
Yeah, exactly. His Trap is still struggling to hold on, bearing in mind as well that he has now repowered all of his gateways. He can now reinforce, warp in, going to be repowering those shield batteries as well. Trap is holding. There was some nice damage out of Oliveira, but there was nothing too major. Like, for the most part, Trap did pull away in time and didn't really lose too many workers.
Yeah, that's a key consideration, right? Trap, I think, or Oliveira, sorry, I think traded much more efficiently than Trap did, but Trap still has all of these units out. Trap still has his economy up and running. It's been untouched, and yeah, you can just continue to warp in more units. Very good juggling coming out from him as well.
Yeah, nice micro here out of Trap. He does preserve his army, does preserve his units. Overcharge is popped. Now it's going to be off of cooldown, and Oliveira might be able to break on through here. As I say that, I believe there is still 1 Storm and 1 High Templar in that Prism.
He's waiting for the most opportune moment to pop it. Very nice pre-split coming out from Oliveira. But I do think that Trap just has too much beef in his backline. He has too much calcium in his backbone.
And he stands strong. I mean, that was impressive, especially against the tri-pronged attack of Oliveira. Trap, he defends, he minimizes losses, he does protect his third base, and now Oliveira has to back off. Now, thankfully, Oliveira was not all in. He has his own third up and running, and we have a 4th CC in production, actually, before Trap even throws down his own 4th.
Oh, okay. Not something you see every day here in TvP, and something that is going to be pretty disastrous for Trap if he lets it be disastrous.
Yeah, is a Terran player with a better economy is a terrifying thing here in a TvP. We can see Trap going for his own Zealot drop across the map. Trap did also spot the main drop play of Oliveira, so he's going to be able to keep up as Oliveira threatens the 4th. I mean, at the same time, the drop does slip into the main.
That's going to cause quite a bit of disruption here in the economy of Oliveira. Tries to warp in, but yeah, decides that it's probably not the best idea.
And with the Rattle of the Viking, we can chase this Prism down. At the same time, Liberators have arrived. We do deny mining time, but once again, Trap does pull away and doesn't actually lose that many workers.
Yeah, neither does Oliveira in that offense, so Yeah, both players kind of prodding around and trying to find gaps in each other's armor and not quite finding it.
Oh, exactly. As we try to catch the Prism as well, but alas, it will barely escape. I say that Liberator does reposition Oliveira. He's on the hunt. He wants the Prism. Up.
Yeah, he's still gonna pounce on top of this. He does get the MP, but there's not enough anti-air. That's a mostly Marauder army going on there from Oliveira. Oh man, I feel that in my bones when you nail the EMP, but you don't actually have any other units that can clean up.
Alas, the Prism does manage to get away, but it's at least pinned back at home, right? It's not harassing across the map, it's not threatening with another Zealot drop, so Oliveira, he can focus on his main push, and we'll see how he can break through this. Remember that we do have 3 High Templar, 3 Storms are currently available here for Trap.
3 Storms available and more where that came from. Nails the EMPs though.
Good.
Does Oliveira. A couple of High Templar in the backline will get a Storm, but it looks like, yeah, this is going to be enough for Oliveira. Those quick little EMPs absolutely shut down everything Trap was relying on when it came to his defense.
Yeah, the Storms were good. The flanking Storms were amazing, but alas, that's all we did have. The EMPs, as you were saying, were even better. Liberator going to be going down. Viking's going to be landing. It looks like Trap, he can barely hold on. It's such a close fight. Oh my god.
Yeah, that was a very overstimmed army here from Oliveira, and Trap, he sets a little bit of weakness, and he pounced right on top of it. Trap actually holds, and once again, doesn't lose too many of his workers. I mean, he did trade very poorly in that fight, don't get us wrong. That was a much more efficient trade for Oliveira. But Trap, he's still mining, he's still keeping this going, he's still on 4 bases. It's not the end of the world for him.
Yeah.
It's by no means the end of the game.
Yeah, Trap, he barely holds on. He's got 3-4 High Templar here in the back line. Immortals are amassing once again. Oliveira does have the better economy, which is what I'm concerned by. Oliveira can still just snowball and just overwhelm Trap, but for now, he is holding on. Not out of the woods yet, though, as we go for Zalaramai. There's a planetary already in position.
That will shut this down. Well, switching gears now, we're not focusing so much on High Templar here for Trap. Instead, Colossus now on the way. Thermalant's just started getting researched.
Yeah, getting into Colossus production. I mean, the Viking count was reset. There's only 2 Vikings left, so Colossus, they can definitely have a presence here in this next fight. As I say that, we're getting back into Viking production, so Oliveira, he is making sure he actually has that anti-air and doesn't give a Trap any kind of wiggle room when it comes to getting into those Colossus.
Yeah, Vikings are a pretty good unit, yo. It's not just good against the Colossus. They're pretty good against Warp Prisms, which may or may not contain High Templar. You can land them. They do very well against Stalkers specifically. Not so much against Immortals or Zealots, but yeah, if it's mostly Stalkers left in the ground army, you definitely have that opportunity to land. And of course, eventually they're going to be pretty good against Skytoss. Yeah. Eventually, when we get there.
They have their place in the Terran army. The Observer does spot the main army rotation, so Trap is aware, at the same time pushing through the center instead, trying to force a reaction out of Oliveira. But I'm sure Trap wants to avoid a fight for the time being, takes down the turret. We do have our scan. Oliveira taking a 5th base as well, still upper base compared to the Protoss.
Yeah, we're starting to really outscale Trap from here. Oliveira now maxed out. Trap still a little ways off. And of course, he doesn't really have enough of a bank to try to remax if we do have 2 armies clashing against each other and wiping each other out.
Exactly. It's going to come down to this next fight as Oliveira's maxed out. Trap still needs a little bit of time to get some warp ins and get his reinforcements going. Checking the unit tab, we have 8 High Templar, 2 of which are in the Prism as well, so we have a lot of Storms available.
And we'll see if they do come into play. We also have a lot of EMPs available right now for Oliveira. It's all about who shoots first.
Exactly. It's all about our spellcasters here. Likewise, if the Prism can, or sorry, the Vikings can somehow find the Prism before any Storms go off as well, that's going to be a big moment for Oliveira. So a lot of positional play going on. Oliveira rotating around, and likewise Trap trying to keep up.
Yeah, Oliveira really keeping Trap on his toes here. Trap knows that he cannot really split his army up. He has to keep them all together, but it's not the most mobile army that he has going between all of these bases back and forth.
Yeah, exactly. So far, so good. Trap also double expanding, taking his 5th and 6th base at the same time. Oliveira is here. Will deny an expansion, but at least Trap has another.
Yeah, really good moves coming out from Trap. Good EMPs, but I think these High Templars still have a lot of energy left on them.
Yeah, they still have a Storm each on those High Templar. We can see that Oliveira, he backs the hell off. Again, still just the ebb and flow of the main armies. Trap is getting a base up and running. It's at least on the way, and we'll see if we can get away with it. Oliveira still just trying to rotate as well, trying to keep up.
Like so. I do appreciate the missile turrets being set up in the middle of the map.
Yeah, I do appreciate it. Will kind of destroy any observers. There's not any vision of the Protoss player. Now the base has been spotted, but Oliveira, he's going for the Nexus, and once again, he's going to force a cancel.
And this was the Nexus that was supposed to be up. Oh no, Trap. 4 bases are alright, but it's a bare minimum for Protoss.
It is the bare minimum. Here we go. Trap is going to be sending. We have a nuke across the map, and Trap, he does notice. He does pull away.
Does pull away, but hasn't quite scouted the, yeah, he does have detection is the issue, so he can't get rid of that ghost.
Yeah, the ghost is still there. We have the storm. We have the storm, thankfully, dealing with that ghost. Oliveira rotating once again, out positioning a Trap. The Nova is not going to go off as the Trapper goes down, and we're once again going for the base.
That's very decisive targeting coming out here from Oliveira. Bases Ignite once again, and Trap, I would say it's down to a 4-base economy, but it's even less than that now that his main and his natural is starting to get mined out.
Yeah, again, it's Trap. He's feeling pretty all in with this. Like, he has a comparable army. He can still win a fight. He can still win a fight and win the game, but he won't be able to sustain himself. He won't be able to remax. I mean, look at the banks here for the armies.
Yeah, it's insane right now for Oliveira and non-existent for Trap. Also insane for Trap, but insane bad for Trap.
Oh my, massive connections going to be going off. DTs from behind, but the Colossus go down. Oliveira, he did get caught off guard, though. He's going to be cleaned up.
Yeah, pretty good fight here for Trap, but it's what you mentioned earlier on. Oliveira can remax. He's got a lot of barracks to work off of. He's producing 6 Liberators at a time. He can still remax. He can still defend from here. Trap needs to keep this going. There's the Vikings!
Yeah, Vikings are going down. The DTs, they morphed into Archons. You have a wave of Archons on the way, and Trap, it's all or nothing. He has to end the game with this push.
It kind of looked like Oliveira wanted to just trade out the Vikings to get more barracks units, but that was not a good trade at all for him whatsoever. Is Trap gonna do this?
We're camping the production.
He's camping the production.
Yeah, if we can break in, that's going to be game. We have another big warping as well. Liberator's going to be sieging up, but we have anti-air. We have a Stalkers, and it looks like Trap, he cleans this up. GG gets called, and Trap will take game 1.
Once again, GG, the king of the counterattacks. Trap was in a completely losing position there until the very end when he realized, you know what, I didn't want to go all in, but you made me go all in. And so now you have to deal with all of my Archons, all of my DTs, those Purification Novas that if they didn't connect, I think that was the Hail Mary from Trap, really. Those Purification Novas right towards the end there, and they did connect. And it did allow him to keep that push going. It did allow Trap to just completely counterattack. My god, this is some very impressive stuff here that we've seen from Trap so far. Not just in that game, but in the previous series as well. If he can keep this going, I mean, 100% making it to the finals.
More than anything, it's grace under pressure, right, from Trap, because as we mentioned, like he had to end the game then and there. If he had stopped, if he had pulled back, or if Oliveira had bought any extra time, then it would have been over, right? Then Oliveira defends, and Oliveira can just outscale Trap. So, yeah, the killer instinct of Trap, it's real.
Yeah. Or even while going for that all-in, Trap panicked a little bit, got a little bit too anxious, and maybe shot out a Purification Nova a little bit too early. Yeah, it is 100% grace under pressure coming out here from Trap. Very calm in the middle of a storm, and is able to just let that killer instinct, that counterattack instinct, shine the brightest. I'm absolutely in awe, and that was just game number 1 here. As we go into game number 2 of our best of 3 semifinals. Very impressive stuff so far, and I feel like we're just going to see more of it as the series goes on. Here, continuing our series on El Quillone, so yeah, a little bit more of a normal series or normal map picks coming in from this series in particular. That's what happens when you don't have Dark or Shin. Here we are in the bottom left-hand corner map, starting all the way in the bottom left. We have our red Terran player coming out from the land of China. He is, of course, going to be representing his team Weibo Gaming. We have a normal man. He is Oliveira.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the Blue Protoss representing Gen G Esports, leading the series 1-0. It is Trap.
I'm seeing chat catch up now, and oh boy, yeah, that was a little bit of a weird. It's a little bit of a weird game when we look at the progression and we think, okay, yeah, I know. Oliveira, he's in a winning position. He has so much momentum behind him. This game is done. Trap's just playing, but yeah, Trap somehow able to just come back from behind and completely render all of that momentum inert with those Purification Novas. That was a very clutch move coming out from Trap, and one that we've actually been seeing, that we've seen consistently come up from him throughout the tournament.
Yeah, it's one of those moments where there's one win condition, and that is we have to take a fight and just go all in from there, right? Like you have to just send it immediately and go for the main base, go for the production, and Trap was able to pull it off. Cool. But what we will say here is that, again, that was he was still in a really rough position, and up until that point, Oliveira was playing beautifully, right? He was just out positioning Trap, he was denying bases, he was able to, just pull him apart in many other ways, and again, Oliveira still has it in him here to force the ace match. It's just clearly, like, even if you're in a better position, if you're ahead against Trap, like, you can't count him out.
Yeah, you absolutely cannot. It was one of those things, right, where it was Trap was able to keep calm and do very well in a desperate position, but Oliveira was able to force that. The fact that Oliveira was able to force things to get that desperate for Trap is definitely a testament to his TvP, and I think if he does something similar, but a little bit tighter, like, I don't think Oliveira has to switch things up too much here, is what I'm trying to get at going into El Quillone. I do think it's still on Trap to try to make sure that things don't get that desperate.
Yeah, and we'll see if we can get there. As for now, it's going to be another Twilight Council opener out of Trap. Going to be Blink. We did see 2-gate Blink into a third in the last game. We'll see if it's going to be the same this time. Meanwhile, Oliveira being a little bit more active this time with our initial Hellion. Nice stutter stepping does shut down the Adept and does gain map control as we're going for, and we're setting up for a drop behind this.
Indeed, we are not going to be in that mine drop that we saw on Oceanborn. Like you said, that's an opening that we only see about once in a tournament. So it was already used once. It can no longer be redeemed.
No more. As Trap is setting up, going for our Robo. With this, of course, we can head towards early Immortal production if we feel the need to, but really Oliveira's just applying some light pressure, moving out with his forces, waiting for that medevac to drop into said main.
Chilling in the middle of the map now, just waiting for that opportune moment, as you said. Banshee, cloaked Banshee coming out from here from Oliveira, and that's something we haven't seen in quite some time in TvP.
Yeah, and here we go. The army has arrived. We're going to be zoning away the Stalkers with that Widowmine. Nice juggling, keep the Widowmine alive. But the Hellion does go down. Nice control of the Trap, not taking things or not really escalating too much, but the base is going to be cancelled. Oh, it's close.
Gotta be right. It's gotta be cancelled. It's cancelled right at the end there.
Yeah, and with that, that was the purpose of this push. That was the purpose of this drop, so very well done. We avoid and we shut down the Widowmine, but we got what we wanted. We denied the third.
Yeah, mission accomplished here from Oliveira, so now he can hang back and focus more on his own macro play. He's already securing himself a pretty good lead as we continue.
Yeah, and we're going into Tank Banshee again. This has been a trendy style ever since I Am Katowice. We've seen this from a lot of the Korean Terrans. I'm referring to Byun and Maru specifically. Again, these Banshees can do a surprising amount of damage in this matchup here. All it takes is 1 or 2 Banshees getting into a mineral line. If there's no detection, they can just eviscerate these probes.
And I don't see any detection yet from Trap. Observer is now out, but does it go across the map? It's going across the map.
Thankfully,
It's going across the map.
it is, but we have a safety shield battery, so the Banshee can't really do too much. We can maintain our workers. Meanwhile, across the map, Trap Blink is done, and we can go into the main.
Just like so. I'm trying to reciprocate this damage, and Oliveira's in the middle of the map. He is going to take damage.
Oh, yeah, damage is being done. We're going for a pseudo base trade here as Oliveira. He has to send it across the map, bearing in mind that Trap can always recall.
Yeah, he does still have that available to him. Oliveira's starting to lose his SCVs. If he wasn't all in before, he wasn't all in, just for the record, but now he's kind of forced all in.
Yeah, so much damage is being done. The tank does siege up. We have 2 tanks here on the front lines. The third base is denied. We focus on the medevac. No more sustain with the army, but we do shut down at least that shield battery. Immortal does pop out just in time.
Yeah, but we'll see if it can actually get on top of these tanks as it is supposed to. Couple more warpins coming in from the back line. Stalkers in the front line do get dealt with, so yeah, things are... The options here for Trap are shortening up.
Yeah,
fewer options.
We take down the gateway, which is important. We're down to 3 gates. Bear that in mind. Ooh, big tank volleys going off for those Stalkers. Shield batteries are going down, and Oliveira is gaining ground. Behind this, Oliveira actually has the worker lead with mules. He is recovering, and he's pushing forward towards that natural.
Like so. Yeah, Trap now maneuvering with the Warp Prism, trying to see if he can get on top of these tanks, how well he can juggle, but this Viking has other plans.
Yeah, we can see Trap trying to catch reinforcements with the tanks that within range. They're shutting down the Prism. They're shutting down the Immortals. One Immortal goes down. There's only 1 Immortal left. We try to come in for the surround, but Oliveira, he's ready for this. It looks like 1 tank is going to fall, but it's going to cost us every single Stalker.
Oh no, the tanks get reset and the Immortals do survive. It's only the Banshees and the Marines that are remaining here. I mean, still a very hefty loss here for Trap, but he can still try to hold.
He can hold. The Viking does land. We're down to 4 Stalkers, and we just barely do warp in. Boys are being pulled. Workers are going down. Do we have the... Okay, we do have detection. The Banshee will can be dealt with, but we're getting damage done.
Yeah, when it's all said and done, Trap will survive, but this was a much, much, much better trade for Oliveira.
Oh yeah, Trap, he lost gateways, he lost all the Immortals, he lost his third base, and Oliveira behind this, he's up in workers. We have tanks, we have bunkers, we have upgrades on the way. Oliveira is looking strong.
But you know what? How that saying goes, when behind, try to catch back up.
There you go.
Via a Dark Shrine.
Dark Shrine is on the way. We do have another move out. As long as we have some scans available, we should be okay. But a shout to Trap, he does delay the push, distracts the main army, and will escape with all of his Stalkers.
Yeah, he's buying himself a lot of time to get defenses up and running. Couple defensive DTs. I mean, it's not the worst idea to have.
Yeah, DTs can make or break a fight, especially if there are no scans available. For the time being, looks like we have 1 scan for each base, so 2 scans for Oliveira. As long as he doesn't mule, we should be okay. Meanwhile, we're just trying to set up here. We have force fields, immortal, shield batteries getting ready. DTs are soon to be warped in. Dark Shrine about to finish.
Yeah, we'll see if that pays off. 1 scan already being utilized, so another scan. Only 1 more scan is available here for Oliveira. Oliveira going for a 2 base all-in is going to be enough. GG. Oliveira takes game number 2, forces us into the ace match.
Whew. GG, well played. Oliveira in the midst of that chaotic game, the chaotic almost base trade essentially, he was able to pull it off, win across the map, was able to preserve his tanks, able to gain ground, and just out-trade Trap. Didn't kill him with that push, but did do enough damage, did maim him, and set himself up to tap the series.
Just like so, GG, and now we're going into our ace match, which... to be on, I almost said Parasite. Site Delta. So we're gonna be on.
It's a blast from the past, Pappy. Oh my god. It's been a while.
It's a good map.
The other site is going to be on the way. A bit of a larger, more macro map here between Oliveira and Trap. But at least we got what we wanted. We got a solid series, a game 3 out of this.
Indeed, we are. Whew. And now we're gonna conclude it all. This is, I think, the first series that we've had where we've had normal maps.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least all 3 of our games have been on normal maps.
Yeah, exactly. As I mean, the games themselves have been quite dynamic and quite chaotic, and we'll see where this takes us. Quickly checking as well as a reminder, the winner of the series advances on to the grand finals, where I believe we have yet to determine our opponents.
Not quite yet. We do have confirmation it's going to be a Protoss player, as Classic did take out Gumiho 2-0, I believe. Yeah, 2-0. And so it's currently up against Estrella in those other semifinals. I believe Wardy's covering that, so... Yeah, twitch.tv/Wardy... TV.
I think.
Is he on? Oh, yeah. Wardy's channel. Just Google SC2 Wardy and you'll find it. Anyway, here we go. We're going to be concluding this semifinals, though. This best of 3 here on Parasite. And, oh boy, it's been jam-packed. It's been very, very intense so far. And I can't imagine that things are going to slow down anymore here on Site Delta, where we're here in the top left-hand corner map, spawning all the way. In the top left, we of course have our red Terran player coming out from the land of China. He is going to be representing Weibo Gaming. We have Oliveira.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the ex-military Protoss representing Gen G Esports. It is Trap. And am I crazy? Because as I'm saying ex-military, I think most of the players are now becoming ex-military. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Nightmare is the only active Protoss in Korea that hasn't gone to the military. Right?
Nightmare and Creator.
Yeah, true. Creator. Yeah.
Oh, wait, did Nightmare? No, I think Nightmare did actually go. Wait. Or am I thinking of someone else?
I'm thinking of like Zaun, because like Zaun went to the military.
Zaun, that's... No, because I do remember that there was one Protoss player who went to the military at the end of Heart of Swarm, and then came back in like the second or third year of Legacy. It might have been Nightmare, but I don't think it was Nightmare.
Yeah. So, yeah, just... it's interesting kind of like tidbit there, where most of the Koreans nowadays, like they've already done this service, they're coming back, they're competing again, and... yeah, I remember a lot of people were a little bit concerned whether or not a lot of players would return, and that they are.
Yeah, a lot of them are, yeah. Some of them haven't, unfortunately.
The ones that matters have. But I get what you're saying. Patience. You know what?
Yeah. Oh, we don't know if it's out of the military.
True. We don't know. We'll get him back.
Yeah.
For now, it is going to be a Twilight Council opener at a trap once again, working towards Blink. So far, every game, it's been 2-gate Blink into a third, at least attempted third. Last game, it was denied, of course, and we had to go for an aggressive follow-up to make up for that. But outside of that, no kind of crazy, chaotic, aggressive build so far at a trap, at least in the PvT.
Yeah, not yet, anyway. You'll be very centered builds coming out from both of our players this time. Just a straight up 1-1 from Oliveira and a Blink opening coming out from Trap. And we did see Trap utilize the Blink opening a bit more aggressively on Elkione, going for that forward Blink. But yeah, unfortunately, as much as he was able to get damage done, he had more damage done to him with the counterattack. Or not quite counterattack, but the base trade from Oliveira.
Yeah, and you may have been onto something, by the way. I just quickly double-checked. Apparently, Nightmare did do his military service. It's already done.
Oh, there we go.
Apparently, he went, like, right at the launch of Legacy. Basically.
There we go,
like,
yeah.
Legacy launch, and then he did his military. So, yeah. I did kind of slip by me there. So, just because I guess it's been so long. So, yeah, he's already done as well.
Yeah, doesn't have to worry about that anymore. So the only active Protoss player left, I think, is Creator.
Yeah, there you go. Or you know, as for now, we are going to be moving out with our drop play. Once again, we see it here for the second time this series, going for the Widowmine drop. Okay.
I like this. Oliveira, he may have redeemed it once, but, you know, he just went to a different outlet, and now he's redeeming it again.
Yeah, I mean, he lost the game, so he's got to do it again.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
Exactly.
He turned in his Widowmine coupon, but the terms weren't met, so they gave him another one.
get rejected. But now, once again, we're poised to go into the natural. Just going to be biding our time here. Meanwhile, across the map, we're going to be going for a Raven follow-up. Interesting. Investing into Interference Matrix.
Which, now that I think about it, I'm surprised we haven't seen it yet from Oliveira. This is a very standard play in TvP.
Yeah, like I mean, Raven openers used to be the meta, especially last year, right? Especially when Phoenix Colossus was all the rage, you know, going for Ravens to shut down the Colossus, to go for these big pushes and big timings. But the meta has since shifted, and yeah, we've kind of gotten away from it a little bit.
Yeah, we're getting less Ravens, but we're getting more Marauders, so yeah, I support that.
There you go. As we do flick into the main base, the army is somewhat in position. We do have to be careful to overextend with the Raven, as the Auto Starter is going to be thrown down, locking down those Stalkers.
But we have Blink. Quite a lot of damage can still be done here. Meanwhile, ooh! Like I said, the Widowmine did get a few too many workers. A lot more workers than I think Trap was expecting.
Yeah, it's one of those things where really Oliveira didn't make the distraction. Trap did, as he distracted himself with this aggression. The Observer is going to be shut down. These Stalkers have been trading very, very nicely here, but as you mentioned, it is going to be kind of rendered moot as both players bleed out probes.
Like so. Trap does have a high enough worker count, I think, that he might be able to counteract Oliveira's mules. And of course, he's got 3 Nexuses, which is the major thing. He can rebuild a lot quicker. So yeah, when it's all said and done, it was better for Oliveira because it was a mine drop. But as the game goes on, it's going to be better for Trap.
Yeah, as we do snipe the tank. Tank was that exposed bunker, likewise unattended as well. And Trap is getting quite a lot done here. Getting a tank, getting a bunker, containing Oliveira. And Oliveira, he's going to be stuck at home at least until Sim does finish.
Yeah, very strong start coming out here from Oliveira, especially since coming out from Trap here, my mistake. Especially since Oliveira is banking everything, or is banking a lot on being able to hit this timing push. So Trap has pretty much created the strongest possible defense for himself, in the sense that he's created possibly the weakest possible push here from Oliveira.
Yeah, exactly, as Trap is gotten so much done with so little, and with this going to be forced to recall back home. Oliveira is moving out, and Oliveira is committed. Remember, he does have that disable available with the Raven, and we pull the boys because we're completely all in.
Okay, I changed my stance. Oliveira's our favored.
Like,
no way he loses now.
You're like, he's doing it, Papi. Let's go. So the counterattack is going to eviscerate the economy, but I mean, we barely have an economy to begin with as we're sending everything across the map. The SCVs have been spotted. And what do we have back at home? We have +1, a charge, no splash damage, but we have overcharge.
Yeah, we do have overcharge. We have force field potential as well. The tanks are looking mighty exposed. One of them will go down. Anti-armor missile does land right in the heart of the Protoss army, and Trap is forced to retreat back into the high ground. He completely gives up this natural base position, but as the bio moves out, the tank gets exposed, and Trap is able to take it out once again. But did he lose too much to get him?
That's the thing. He lost every single Stalker in the process. He got a tank, but wasn't worth it. At the same time, the third base getting annihilated, every single probe going down, and now we're going straight for the natural. Another anti-armor missile.
Yeah, coating the majority of this army. If Trap can somehow survive, he isn't going to be in a winning position, but that's a pretty massive if.
Yeah, as we focus on every single Stalker we pick up, we have 2 medics full of units. We do escape, and Trap is barely holding on. He does have double the worker count. We have to keep pushing. We have to keep pushing, and the Liberators have arrived.
Yeah, he has to give up this third base, but he can't afford to give it up for now, as Oliveira is very, very, very all in. Does Trap have enough to reinforce, though? He barely has a bank. He is warping in a couple of Zealots. He needs to be very careful with his Stalkers. It's his only anti-air against these Liberators.
Yeah, Liberation has arrived. We zone the army away. Massive shots going off. Stalker's going to be going down. There's no shield. We get another Immortal.
We do get another Immortal, but we also get a Force Field, completely splitting the Bio army in half. And I think Oliveira's just about done it.
Yeah, I think so as well. With the arrival of the reinforcements, we shut down the Immortals, we break through the defensive line. GG gets called, and Oliveira will take the series 2-1.
Whew, okay, GG. Very nicely done here from Oliveira. Good games coming out from Trap as well. I think that was probably the most intense series we've casted in a while.
Yeah, it was
At least the most intense TvP.
Yeah, it was very intense, very back and forth here. We got a little bit of everything. We got a longer macro game in game 1. We had more intense back and forth in game 2 and game 3, and it did go the distance. That was a clutch. Oh, that was an almost clutch defense there by Trap. But as you mentioned, I do think a big moment where momentum swung in favor of Oliveira was when Trap dove on the tanks, and when he lost every single Stalker, like suddenly his army was almost non-existent, and yeah, it wasn't quite worth it in the end there for Trap.
That it was not. I mean, it's always tempting, right? You want to break the backbone of your opponent's army, but sometimes to get there, you have to go through a lot of hoops. You have to go through a lot of meat and fat that ends up killing you in the process.
And with that, GG, well played. Oliveira does advance on to the grand finals, and we'll see who he faces off against. It's going to be another TvP, but whether it's an American Protoss or a Korean Protoss, yet to be determined.
That it has. I just realized now that the remaining 3 players are all going to be in Esports World Cup. So
True.
Pretty neat to see that, despite that event coming up, our players are still playing in these online cups, not really hiding too much of their practice.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're using it for practice there, so pretty important matches and tournaments ahead of us here in the lead up to the Esports World Cup. And when it comes to that lower semifinals, let's head on over, ! Be in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the bracket and the progression of our players.